Hello, here I am, and I think you're there too because you told me so in the chat. I'm not quite sure if you can hear me yet, but I'm hopeful, and I'm sure you'll tell me that pretty soon over the chat. Yeah, the chat. Talking about the chat, this is an interactive live stream where we write a story together, that one. And if you want to not just watch, but also use the interactive part of the live stream, you can do that by clicking on the link in the description below the video. There's a link to a Discord server where you can tell me what to do, basically, or ask questions, or just see what other people write. Like, for example, right now, Epiphany writes that she can hear me. Thanks for that. Great to know. All right. Now, I think we shouldn't waste too much time on organizational stuff and reviewing the story, but maybe a minute or two is okay. We are writing a story about a girl named Munira who was supposed to be deported from school by German authorities, but one of the first Magi, Sam, stepped in and stopped that deportation, and now they are sitting in a cat cafe together with the other first Magi. That is, well, the readers are led to assume that those are all of them. There is still the possibility of more Magi being out there somewhere, but for now, they told Munira they're complete, and they have started talking about her, their plans, kind of. So I'm going to read the last part of the story we've written, and then we can continue from there on. If you have brought any specific wishes, ideas, thoughts about how to proceed from here, feel free to tell me. By the way, if you don't feel like interacting in the Discord chat, but you do feel like interacting in general, you can do that in other ways. For example, you can send me messages. You can use any instant messenger you like. You can also use the YouTube comments, although that limits you to, well, telling me afterwards, because the comments are closed during the live stream, and they only open after the video is done and finished and published. You can also, well, approach me on Twitter. You can send comments to my blog. You can send me emails, and I've been known to get the odd fax now and again from participants of my live streams. So that's a possibility as well, although not necessarily one I would recommend. Then again, if you feel like playing with that, you can be sure no paper will be wasted, because of course there is no paper fax machine. There's just a virtual fax client. So if you want to play with that, you can without any harm done. But I would recommend the chat, because in the Discord you can interact with the others. It's live, and it's what I mostly monitor right now, and I think it's proven to be quite a useful method of interacting during these streams. So let's go ahead and read what we wrote last time. But she's right, decreed Elimu. I would like to know what you have been up to and how our little operation is going. And so would I, Munira grumbled. And if you don't mind, maybe tell me what kind of operation this even is. Are you trying to... She had some difficulty making herself say it. Are you pondering what the little in-joke gave her the strength to do it. Are you trying to take over the world? The Magi all reacted with slight variations of an indulgent and, depending on individual temperament, slightly self-conscious smiles. Not as such, Sam finally said. We're not tyrants, said Tora more seriously. Except for Jasper, of course, Pakari added. Yes, Jasper very much is one, Tora admitted. But we outvoted her. That's a relief, said Munira, unsure where she got the confidence to talk to these beings like that. But what are you trying to achieve? I already told you, said Sam. We've watched for quite a while and found what you're doing rather distasteful. Oh, do say, murmured Alimu with an eye roll. Sam continued. It took us a while to work out the ethical questions and the logistics, and they made a general wave of the hand to imply the grand complexity of it all. You know, but now we're ready, and we will try to make people stop from being, you know, the wave of the hand again. Sounds like you really figured it all out, said Munira. I'm so glad you took that time. And that's where we are now. And if you have any specific thoughts, as I mentioned, you can tell me what to do. And if you don't, and that's another, probably for most of you, nice aspect of this live stream, well, you can not. And you can just lean back and watch and listen to what I do and feel maybe slightly superior if you don't like it, or maybe even if you do. I'm not sure about that. In any case, I hope you enjoy it in some way. So let's see. For about a second, silence reigned around the table, except for Jasper's purring. Then Elimu muttered, I do believe she's making fun of us. Like that. Fun of us. That's weird. I don't understand why there. I mean, in a way, of course, I do understand that there are mistakes and that sometimes software doesn't do what it's supposed to do, but I always think computers, of course, they make mistakes, for example, if they're programmed badly or if something goes wrong with the hardware or something. But computers are not supposed to simply forget stuff. Like, sometimes they change that sign there, and sometimes they don't. And then when you go back and type it again, it is changed into a whatever this is called in English, typographical other, and not a straight quotation mark. I don't get that. I think that's not okay. But yeah. Nobody cares what I think, and maybe that's for the better sometimes, because I have no idea about how to develop software. I do believe she is making fun of us. Some steepled their fingers in front of their face and sighed. First off, they like that, right? I always get that wrong because it's different in German, but it's like that, right? The comma goes here. First off, they explained, I can do it like that, right? First off, they explained, it is a tad difficult to explain it all in your limited language. So you have your own language, or they didn't respond to that. Second, we decided to learn a few things about how it works while we're doing it. You know? It seemed like that was the best way, because a lot of knowledge about you is just not available. I'm not sure if this is the perfect way to do that dialogue. I'm kind of also trying to test it out while I'm doing it. We might see where it goes and then later on go back and see if we can optimize from the beginning towards that end, because obviously, well, my technique for writing, as you probably have noticed, is I don't plan a lot. I have no specific plan for this plot. I'm not sure if most, I'm guessing most professional, successful writers probably have a scene-by-scene plan about this will happen then, this will happen then, and of course they plan that in several, what would you call it? Well, they go through it several times. First, of course, with a rough plan. So this is where I start. This is where I'm going. These are the steps in between. And then they finally do the scene by scene, although there are many, many different techniques. So I'm not saying everyone does this. I'm not even sure most professional, successful writers do roughly what I just explained. I just don't know. I know some do. And I know some don't. My technique is more, well, like reading. I follow the plot and see how it develops. And while I sometimes have a rough idea about the direction I'm going for, I rarely know exactly where I'm going. And this is the case here. So I'm trying to have a dialogue between them that conveys that the Magi are similar to humans in some ways and a bit different in others, that they are a bit mysterious, that they are a tad naive, or maybe at least foreign to this world and these societies, maybe rather. They don't completely understand how human societies work and how normal humans interact, and yeah, well, we already talked about that. And they're well-meaning in a way, but they're not classically perfectly good people, you know. They do have they're not, what's the right word? At least in my head, we can talk about this. In my head, they are there to improve the world and maybe the lives of people, and they are not cruel or mean as such. But, well, they are different, and they see themselves as different. So they might not be good and kind always in a way we would consider perfectly kind and good for human beings. If that makes sense to you, if you know where I'm going with that. And then again, Elimu, right eyebrow reached an impressive height while listening to Sam. When Sam noticed, they chuckled and shrugged, and asked, "Would you?" There it is again. The thing with the quotation marks. I don't get it. Would you like to explain it? I think you've done a great job so far, said Tora. But thank you. Sam replied, still. And Limu said, "You must realize you're just confusing her, and as usual, you refuse to get to the point. You all do," Munira exclaimed. "So what is it?" Now I'm thinking who will answer, because obviously if Sam answers, that won't be the same response she might get from Ilimu or Tora, or maybe Jasper. We haven't really decided yet whether Jasper, well, in some way Jasper is certainly able to communicate. And if she really wanted to, she could probably talk in a way humans can understand. Although we would have to decide how, but it's possible. So maybe Jasper will lose patience sooner or later and just talk. And I'm still thinking about that. Maybe I'll let Ilimu take over, and then I just need to come to a decision on what exactly, specifically, Ilimu is going to say. And I have a few ideas, but I need to let them develop a bit. I'm about to do that, though. So where were we? Here, right, this is it. We want you to treat each other better and more fairly and live together in a way that's not as blatantly harmful to yourselves and everyone else. Ilimu said. And so now I need a word. I need a word. It's like arch, but not exactly, I think. Superior, yeah, but superior is too direct. I don't want to say superior. Maybe haughty, disdainful. Haughty, disdainful. I think I'm going to start with disdainful. So disdainful manner that Munira felt a ridiculous impulse to contradict her, although obviously there wasn't much in that sentence one could reasonably disagree with. But Elimu continued. We should now. That's also something one has to play by ear, so to speak. Dialogue is all well and good, and it progresses the plot, and I personally like it, and it's my favorite part of writing as well as reading, I guess. But we also need to remember now and again that there is a world around the people who are talking, so as to anchor our plot in the world and make the readers feel like these things are actually happening and that they're not just reading words on a page, in the ideal case. We should now and then have something happen besides the dialogue, and that would again require me to remember what the situation exactly is. So has everyone already gotten their food and the stuff they ordered, or can the waiter, waitress person show up? And if they already got it, what did they order, and can they eat it now or drink it? And so, stuff like that is what I imagine, if you know what I mean. I'll have to check that out by scrolling through our text a bit, so this is what I will do. Didn't respond to that. Took us a while here, somewhere here, I think. Certainly in Brundisium at one night or another. Yeah, well. Caesar salad, here we are. So I think the last orders have not yet been served. Dulce de leche, craffin, and an espresso was what Elimu ordered, and there's the Caesar salad and the acai smoothie. Was it correct, acai? Was that how I pronounce it? And then paused while the waiter, waitress delivered her, well, I'm just going to say pastry without specifying it exactly for now. Delivered her pastry and espresso, of course, as well as, now who was, Pakari was Pakari's order. Then she's correct. Is it? Ah, wait. I almost got it. Elimu she, yeah, right. Then she went on. We do most certainly not intend to take over the government and or administration of your day-to-day affairs. She made a face like someone talking about shoveling manure. Which is probably the more honest and enjoyable work when compared to government. But I think this simile conveys what I intended to say, and we can maybe later on talk about details. Of course, there will be, well, hypothetically, it's all a bit of, well, first off, it's always a bit difficult for me, not difficult in the sense of I'm suffering, you know, just I'm thinking, I'm assuming you don't just want to watch me type and write a story. You also like to now and then listen to me talk a bit about my process and what I'm thinking. And I think it's also necessary in a way so that you can, or we can better understand each other because, well, experience teaches me that it's usually that usually more communication is needed when doing a work, some kind of work together than I would expect. Because people have a lot of different approaches and different assumptions about how something is supposed to work. So I never know if what I'm doing makes sense to you, and if it does, if it makes sense to you for the right reasons. So I'm guessing you probably realize that this is not necessarily the last word on how the story is going to be, but that there will be another work through, and another, and another, and another one after that. If I were going to actually, or we were going to actually publish this story, of course, then again, we can't be sure we're getting that far. We might decide to stop this live stream after 10, 15, 20, or 100 episodes. The German one is now at 64 or something, I think. Or we might decide to take it to the actual culmination of this story. But just for the purpose of explaining to you how I work in that way, usually, it's not like I always do it in exactly the same way, but I tend to write a first draft, and I think that's, well, that's not what everyone does, but it's generally recommended. I think especially for beginners, you don't keep yourself from making progress by questioning too much. So you don't usually write a sentence. You're not usually encouraged by people who teach writing to write a sentence and then go, do I want to say made a face, or do I want to maybe more say she moved the muscle, or do I want she raised an eyebrow and contorted her mouth? What do I now? You're usually encouraged to just write a draft, go forward with that, kind of like that that NaNoWriMo National Writing Month, National Novel Writing Month, is kind of an extreme of that, where you're encouraged to write 60,000, is it 60,000 words in 1 month? Which is, I'm not saying this is extreme, especially for someone who writes professionally. I have done that, I think. I usually don't count my words over long times, but I have done that. It's not really extreme, but the idea, I think, is kind of to just write and write and write and write and not question yourself. And of course, I think no one does either perfectly extreme-ish. Of course, I think a bit about what I'm writing, and you noticed I sometimes correct things or change things while I'm doing it. But as a general direction, I think what we're writing now is the first draft, so we don't have to have everything in exactly the way we want it to be, and we can leave things for later on, even if in reality maybe we, especially in this group right now, that might change, or we might decide to stop this and do something else that can stand aside, but the general possibility and the tendency would be to do that later. That's how I usually work. And while I'm talking, Gekrimmel has said, haha, yes, I think I would prefer doing the manure thing, but it might be my privilege of never having had to do so. Yeah, I imagine it might, on the one hand, be actually better work for you, but then again, it might not, because it's quite, well, physically exhausting. Then again, I think we, in a relevant sense, we both. I have tried shoveling manure for a while, and I really didn't like it. But then again, I've never tried taking over the world. So I think that's next. I think that's the one I should do, and then I can really compare it and see which I prefer. Yeah, let's do that. Maybe I'll even write it. Although, come to think of it, Munira considered that by far the more. What's a good word for that? Epiphany says, haha, yeah, right. I mean, but you don't believe in me, do you? Let's just go with honorable and we'll see if that's the right word. Honorable work. Gekrimbel says, if anything, I would do it only up to the level of my abilities, which would probably mean shoveling very little manure. Yeah, well, it's every. There's a German saying, but I'm not sure there's an English saying like a little manure is some manure at least. So you got that, which is you got that going for you, which is something, right? Consider that by far the more honorable work. Yeah, now we have our little relativation. Is that a word? Not sure. What would you call if I was saying Relativierung? What would that be in English? Would that be relativation actually? Relativization, of course, yeah. Here we go with our little relativization, which I wanted. Gekrimbel says, but also ruling the world very badly, like hiding in my room. I'm not sure that this is not the worst way one could rule the world. I assume a lot of people would do it worse. Maybe I would do it worse. I'm not sure. Hiding in my room sounds good. Maybe we should all try that more. Not just because of the pandemic, but we should all try more hiding in our rooms, I think. That might improve affairs at least a bit. Although there are even better things we could do probably. But we're trying to work that out, all right? This is exactly what this story is about. So let's go get ahead with that story. So we aim at giving you a shove in the right direction. A nudge, if you will. Pakari. Mumbled around a mouthful of salad. That was the salad, yeah, right. I meant what I said. Ilimu. Repeated? No, not quite. Said. Not perfectly elegant, but yeah, it's always it's a bit of a conundrum because we try to avoid repetitions of words that seem unnecessary. You can do them intentional, of course, to emphasize a point, and that's fine. But unintentional repetition, like said twice within 3 words, that's not elegant. That's not great. But you always have to make up your mind about whether it's less elegant than forcing a synonym, because forcing a synonym can be pretty bad, especially if it's obvious, which it would be here. So of course you can say like uttered, exclaimed, proclaimed. Maybe that fits Elimu. I'm not sure, but it's something Elimu would do, I think. Then again, it might be too grand, and it might be too forced replacement, maybe. Declared. I think I like declared. I think I like the word declared here. Let's sorry. Let's use that. Let's go with declared. Ventured. Epiphany says ventured. That's we could try that, but I'm going for something more. You know, I'm seeing Elimu as a person who's very sure of herself. And to me, as a person whose first language is not English, so I might be mistaken here. Ventured sounds more like something you propose, you offer up as your opinion, and I'm going for more like Elimu reinforcing a firm position, and thus I thought declared might fit better what I mean. But I'll add ventured as a possibility as a comment. And we can think about it when we edit this, if we ever get that far. And I'm not sure. We'll have to see about that. But I think it could be enjoyable as a live stream. I mean, at least as enjoyable as this live stream is, because I imagine people who would not find this enjoyable at all, but they wouldn't, of course, they wouldn't enjoy either. Declared works better in that case, says Epiphany. I'll keep the other word with a question mark in there, so we know there's a bit to think about with that word. And also, and then lifted her pastry up between fingertips, looking at it like she wasn't quite sure it was not poisoned. Yeah, all right. Munira said, well, we can, I think we can say again. I understand that, and I'm grateful for what Sam did. Sam nodded in her direction, and whoop, sorry, what happened there? I didn't mean that. There, and hinted a bow. Or do we need both? Sam, maybe like that, hinted at a bow in her direction. I'm not sure. Does that work? You can tell me. But I'm not sure I understand I see the bigger picture yet. Or more to the point, I'm not sure you do. We each have slightly different perspectives and approaches. Torah said. For example, and here we go. I think this might be the place for Torah to say what. Sorry, need to look up. What A did. So what did Torah do? Do you have wishes, thoughts, ideas about it, or would you like me to make the decision? What could Torah have done? Torah could have, I don't know, talked to some leaders. Someone should have done that, I guess. One of them, maybe Elimu would be the obvious choice, but that doesn't necessarily mean she would be the best choice. To talk to someone like, I don't know, since we're in Germany, the German Chancellor, but then again, it might just as well be the United States President, although I think we had some sort of agreement that they were starting in Germany as a kind of test run or something. So maybe they all concentrated on Germany for the beginning. I'm not sure about that. We can talk about everything in that regard. So on the one hand, we already have Sam's approach, which has been interrupting one police action. And I guess from there, we can go into both directions. We can imagine smaller acts. Like, I don't know, you could get a poor child something nice as a gift, just improving the world in really tiny steps, or I don't know, changing bad wording in an article in a newspaper or something like something really small, you know. We can imagine one of them going for something really small, and then of course we can envision the other extreme, like one of them just walking up to someone in a leadership position, like maybe the German Chancellor, just going, you know, I have a list of these changes, this, and this, and this, and you will do that. You will change your policies in this way from now on. Thanks, bye. Possible. And of course, everything in between, or maybe if you feel like it, you can go even more towards the different extremes of taking a really big approach and starting smaller. So which would be Torah's way? We don't know a lot about Torah right now. What did Torah order? We know Torah took her name from the... Was that even the case? But I think so, from the god of thunder, because they like the comics. So not actually Norse mythology, but more like the superhero god Thor. So that might be a slight indication that A would take a more direct, maybe even more violent approach. Possibly. But then again, you can be a fan of superhero comics and still not choose direct violence as your own way of dealing with things. So what did Torah order? Here we go. Pineapple juice, piece of that onion pastry, and a slice of blueberry pie. So that was what Torah ordered. Doesn't give me a clear feeling for what A would have done. What would we do? No. Think. So maybe. Yeah. Also, of course, yeah. Something I didn't. I'm still thinking. You might notice that, and I'm not sure if it's a good sign, but yeah, that's how it is. You also we could differentiate between more and less public actions they can take. In that way, Sam's approach was obviously, well, could have been more stealthy because it was public. The police officers might, we don't know that, might remember what happened. Everybody could have seen what happened. So they didn't really go for a stealth approach. They didn't try to hide that they're interacting with the world by supernatural means and that there are now supernatural powers in play. But they didn't go really public, which they could have done. Like, for example, you can, as one of the Magi, you can walk right into a news stream, a news television news or broadcast, yeah, right, a television news broadcast. You can just walk in, put the presenter away or talk to them and just say, hi, I'm Magic and I want to change the world and this is how I'm going to do that. And then on the other hand, you could do something like, for example, what I just said about talking with the chancellor, but in secret. So there's also going big and going small in that direction. And I think the very public thing, that might be something Elimu would do, because she has that kind of grandiose bearing. And maybe Torah, liking the God of Thunder and the superhero comics, might have done something in that direction. Although we could have do quite a similar thing to what Sam did, because why not? But we could also go in that direction and still make it different. And we can consider what kind of mood example we want to set with that. Like, for example, Torah could say freed all people from prison. Just putting that out there to think about. And of course, I think most people will consider that not exclusively a good thing, because many people are afraid of people who are imprisoned because they consider them dangerous criminals, which is what our societies encourage us to think. I'm not sure they are necessarily right. Then again, there obviously are very bad people in prisons, but well, are they necessarily worse than the people who put them there? Or are they just worse in a different way? Or well, it's maybe it's not even that complicated, but this is also one of the points where we have to consider whom are we writing this for? Are we writing this for a broader audience and trying to get it published by a big publishing house? Which is, of course, also a hypothetical question because we probably won't. You probably realize that I'm not successful in any way as a writer, so this probably will stay between us. But hypothetically, we're all together trying to write a story and thinking about how that works. So I think it's usual. It might be useful to take it seriously, or at least pretend. You know what I mean? So if we were trying to get this published by a big publishing house, it might be a detriment if we were going full anarchy. Like the story endorsing freeing everyone from prison. Then again, I think no, I'm not going to be pressured by that. So maybe let's do that. Let's try that. I'll write it and we'll see where it goes. And of course there's nuance to that too, because just Torah doing it or explaining how A did it is one thing, but how the story treats it is another thing. Visited one of your, and of course that would mean we need to make a decision about how Munira herself feels about it. And we could also go a step more into kind of a controversy, I'm not sure, because of course one of the Magi could also not focus on humans, but like talk about how they freed a bunch of animals from a farm, something like that, prevented animal slaughter. Possible. They might not, it doesn't even have to be Jasper, but one of them, or all of them, might consider animals ethically on a similar level as humans. That's a possible position. That's a position one could have. And one could still argue about whether it's a correct position and one the story is supposed to endorse or not. But as I said, with the prison thing, those are two different questions. Yeah. And freed the people there. It was more difficult than I expected. In some ways, because many did not understand what was happening, I think, and did not trust me. But I still think it was but maybe more like but we expected issues like that in the beginning, obviously. You just freed everyone from a prison. Munira, not Murphy, but what? Munira. Why would word predict from MU Murphy sad? Well, sad is probably probably follows from me using these quotation marks, right? But picking one name, well, there are not many names that start with MU, I guess. Said thoughtfully. Not sure if that's perfect word, but let's go with it for now. Because my instinct here is Munira herself being unsure about it. Thinking, well, yeah, that's great, but then again, maybe not. Maybe that's, well, it's good because, but then again, I'm not sure that will make your little project very popular with the general population. No, majority of people. She herself was not completely sure how to see it, so she refrained from immediately offering up her own evaluation of rating, assessment, appraisal. What's a good word here? Grading, review, measurement, estimation. I think maybe of all the words I don't like, maybe assessment is still the best. Maybe I can opinion. Maybe I'm going with assessment for now, but I'm gonna make a question mark there. Neither will Sam's first step. Tora responded. We haven't come here to win a popularity. Looking at Tora's plate. You've come here to kick ass. That's a quote I'm going for. I'm trying to make a little joke as a finish thing for today's live stream. Kick ass and eat blueberry pie. And you've still got some blueberry pie left for now. And that's the joke, that's it. It's not very funny, is it? But I like it. In case you don't know, there's that old meme. It's from the movie They Live. Feel free to stop me if you already know that, but for those who don't happen to know this meme or the movie or both, in They Live, so this is not very much important for understanding the quote, but I'm going to give you a bit of the backstory. In that movie, there is a stealthy invasion by alien robots, I guess, and there's this one guy who finds a pair of sunglasses which enable him to see the alien robots so he can kill them all. And he has this one-liner where he says, "I've come here to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of gum." So that's the joke. The joke is all he has got left to do is kick ass now. And I'm being very funny by having Munira say, "You've come here to kick ass and eat blueberry pie, and you've still got some blueberry pie left, so you can eat that instead." You know, that's the joke. Now you understand it. You can tell me if you think it's funny. And if you thought it was funny before I explained it, you can tell me if you still think that. But for today, we're finished. Our hour is up. I'm afraid I have to thank you already for watching, tell you to have a great day, and of course, to push all the buttons available to you, so to let the system know that you enjoy this live stream. Of course, you should put some emphasis on the positive buttons, the ones that go like this, and not so much the ones that go like that. This is the button you're looking for. And also, subscribe if you like. And most importantly, have a very nice and relaxing Sunday. Think about our story if you wish, and feel inside yourself for how you would like it to progress. Grimme says, I seem to fall under, I thought it was funny before you explained. Thanks. And Epiphany likes the joke and thinks it's very Munira. And I'm glad you say that. So at least one person still thinks it's funny. All the best for now, and have a great day. Bye. Looking for that damn button again, but I shall find it, and I shall push it.